All right, thank you. That was too kind of Sarah. It's funny. I've spoken on the big stage at Cannes, and I've spoken at several ad tech conferences around the world, and I've never been as nervous as I am today because my lovely wife is in the audience. I've never had this feeling. That's a whole other level of pressure. So make sure you give me a big hand at the end so she doesn't think I'm a bozo. Anyway, so to the show. I could open up and talk about some of the most important things to Unilever in this space, whether it's mobile or social or data, and show a bunch of statistics. But the reality is the internet has transformed almost everything it is that we do. If you look at it, it's from how we take pictures to encyclopedias to how we read magazines and newspapers and view video, even how we read. And it's not just a Western phenomenon. As Sarah mentioned, I moved to London and I kind of worked in a global role. It's global and it's mainstream. It is the defining invention of all of our lifetimes. And it's interesting, Time magazine put out a issue last week about invention. And they said the three most important inventions of all time are the wheel, electricity, and the internet. So that's what we're dealing with here in terms of change and innovation and the opportunity that we have. So what I will be talking about, and what Sarah asked me to talk about, will be kind of what we've done to address this. And I'll talk about it in two phases. So Rashad talked about plumbing and poetry, which I think is a nice way to put it. We talk about magic and logic, but I will open up with kind of the first section around kind of the blocking and tackling, the plumbing, whatever you want to call it, and then get into the magic in terms of the campaigns and whatnot that we've run. So one of the first things that we did when I moved to London, so she mentioned I moved to London about 5 years ago, because Unilever understood that there was great change going on, and we wanted to really put a group in place that was global, that was to infuse new media sensibilities into the creative development and communication planning process. I was fortunate enough to be tapped to run that, to start that team, to build that team, to establish the digital strategy for the company and all of our big brands. And I moved there 5 years ago, and we did just that. We created a concept of crafting brands for life, really putting people first and creating brand love. And all of that came together as a way of reframing the organization, because again, I'm going to be talking about reframing all aspects in this presentation. I think the whole theme of the conference is reframing. So one of the things I did early on was to make sure that the most senior executives of the company were on board and aware. Because I think in order to drive change at a company of our size, and many of your agencies and many of your companies are giant as well, is you have to get the top guys on board. And so I took the executive vice presidents of all the categories, the CMO, the president, and we all went to Silicon Valley for a week-long immersion in which we met with all the key players, the big players, the small players, the VCs, and really just kind of got ourselves speed dating like we just did in order to make sure these guys are well aware and so that I'd have the backing to do what I needed to do. And it worked great, because out of that, I was able to establish kind of the digital strategy for the company with the board's approval and so forth. And we established a media partnership. For the first time in history, we had true global media companies. I mean, there's always the NBCs and ABCs, the giant companies in country by country, but we've never really had a situation where we've had these giant companies that were that consumers were using similarly, whether they were in India, Indonesia, Brazil, or the US. And so we set these partnerships by standing on the proverbial shoulders of the giants of the industry, and these are the companies that we set real partnerships with. I mean, not just commercial relationships, but the kinds of partnerships that drove a lot of the innovation and helped drive a lot of the innovation that we've produced over the last few years. And this next video will really talk about some of the highlights of that.
Around the world, digital is an increasing force in people's lives. As we put people first and strive to better connect our brands with people, Unilever must excel at marketing in this new digital era.
It's all moving so fast that none of us can do it alone. In fact, partnerships can create a tremendous win-win for all of us in many different ways.
Since 2010, we've been leveraging our scale to create partnerships with the leading industry players.
We look at three core pillars. We look at innovation, we look at efficiency, and we look at effectiveness.
This year, we've continued to pioneer the future of media. With Facebook, as a leading member of their client council, we get first looks at every new opportunity. We've been the first advertiser in the newsfeed in both the developed and developing markets, gaining much improved results in both instances. With Google, we developed the Hair Trends tool, the first time Google have applied their proprietary algorithms to allow a marketer to literally predict the future of women's hair interests. With YouTube, we've become the first advertiser to integrate Buy It Now functionality directly into a branded YouTube channel. And with Apple, we pioneered a series of exciting firsts and extended the magic to many more markets. Through all this, we've stayed true to our goal of creating magical brand experiences. With Twitter, we leveraged their real-time interactive format to launch Magnum's new pink and black flavor, empowering people to light up buildings in Istanbul and catwalks in Mexico City. Our brands delivered stunning engagement levels through Apple's iAds. For Dove's prize-winning Sketches content, we delivered scale through YouTube.
And the best part is, because many of the viewers ended up subscribing to our channel, our conversation about real beauty continues even today.
And we've leveraged these partnerships to help make sustainable living commonplace. With Microsoft, we tapped into their health-related ecosystem to design and build an award-nominated Heart Age tool. With Facebook, we drove millions of pledges and participations in Lifebuoy's Global Handwashing Day.
Being able to use a social platform like Facebook has been immensely rewarding.
And we're collaborating with our digital partners to build our capabilities. We've continued our successful exchange programs with Facebook and focused on getting the content right on their platform. With Google, we've incorporated a long-term talent exchange program into our Marketing Foundations course.
We as a company are still babies in the digital world. We're still learning how powerful this can be.
And the benefit? These partnerships come hand in hand with bespoke research and analysis, giving us powerful insight into our business. And of course, these partnerships provide major efficiencies, saving millions to reinvest in our brand's growth. These partnerships continue to go from strength to strength. By putting people first and creating the future of marketing with the world's largest digital players, we know we'll get to the future first.
So we've had as I've said, the partnerships have been very strong, and I heard that comment about agencies that Carol yesterday about clients talking directly to partners and so forth. I think it's silly when we start getting into that. You can't talk to this person, you can't talk to that person, especially in today's day and age where so much change is happening. And if nothing else, in pure education, sometimes you need to really talk to various companies directly. So I find that a silly conversation. I don't think we should be having it. So one of the things about the digital strategy is beyond the fact that you set the strategy, you have to put enablers in place to make sure the company can follow through with what you've laid out as a vision. And so as it related to spending, we did just that. And again, it helped to have the senior executives. So we put mandates on spending in digital by country. We set up a certain amount of spending to make sure the partnerships had what it needed to succeed. And we even shifted a whole bunch of money towards creating digital assets. So at every level, creative, research, media, and so forth, we set the spending levels appropriately, and that's really led to the increase that we've had in spending. And then we kind of created a roster of agencies. At that point, what was happening was, we had a bunch of agencies, the small agencies, big agencies, creative agencies. Everyone was kind of working with our brands without real structure, and so we set a roster in place. These were the agencies we chose. Not to say that these are the only digital agencies out there that are great, but they fit what we were looking for at the time, and that's been a great help as well. And then we set, recognizing the importance of data and the importance of capturing and harnessing that data and doing something with it, we hired Havis directly to be able to really handle our data management system. And we put in place communication planning agencies to make sure that at the heart of all of our planning, digital, new media, innovation was taking place right there at the front end. So we put PhD and for some brands initiative. The other thing was, if you look at the kind of the websites and the way that we were creating assets, we had a bunch of splash pages and landing pages and websites, and so we put together a technology platform to ensure that all of our brands were operating on the same platform for all the benefits that you see before you. And we also put together a content management system because, again, as a global company, we had 15 different Dove pages and 10 different Axe pages. And by using Buddy Media, we set up a content management system that allowed us to kind of localize that whole approach. And this came up, as Sarah talked about it yesterday, often was talent and skills necessary to succeed in today's marketplace. And we put in place a number of different initiatives. So we have a rigorous digital training program that every single marketer in the company goes through on an annual basis. It's a short-term live one and then a bunch of modules over the course of the year, and everybody wants to learn. We attend some key events, so things like this, CES, Cannes, South by Southwest, with different people going to different events, oftentimes as rewards for work that they're doing and so forth, but we're taking much bigger contingencies than in the past where we might have sent no one or a few people. We have an executive course through Hyper Island for our senior execs. We put in place a digital advisory board, which I think has been a great success. So picking some non-conflict-based digital minds throughout the business that we meet with on an annual basis to take them through some of our campaigns, what we're thinking about, and how to tackle really difficult challenges like data and mobile and things like that. We put in media labs to make sure that people could actually live the space. Again, Rashad yesterday talked about the idea that you should actually use the products yourselves. Which I believe in a big way. I mean, I always kind of spread the mantra of living the space. You've got to live the space. There's a great old Indian proverb that says, if you don't know, I'm from India. So there's a great proverb, I know I don't sound it, but that says, if you want to see heaven, you have to die first, which I think is another way of saying you've got to experience something to get to the promised land, right? So you've got to use so we've had our employees, they have the option to use iPhones or Galaxy or whatever. We've had a lot of people using Macs. We've opened up the firewalls, just giving people an opportunity to truly live the space themselves. And then, so that's kind of the fundamentals, the blocking and tackling, the organizational stuff that you had to do. And I think a lot of companies have to do. There's a lot of stuff you can take back to your clients, because I know most of the people here are agencies, to really help them in establishing what it is that they need to do at a very base level to make sure they elevate what they do in this space. And from that has come some amazing campaigns over the course of the last few years. And again, we've totally reframed it. I think for the most part, what internet advertising has been banners and buttons and pre-rolls, at least as it relates to what you're buying. And the reality is all that is translations of old media into new media. So pre-rolls are just TV ads, banners are just out of home, and buttons or printed pages, whatever. And we're just plopping them on the internet, which by the way is very standard. Every time there's a new technology, you'll see that in both the content and in the advertising. When television first launched, it was basically radio ads and guys just standing there with a radio voiceover. But we need to reframe that. We have to create, and all of us are responsible for this, to create the right kind of marketing for the benefits of the internet, whether it's targeting, whether it's search, whether it's all the great things, the interactivity, the profiling, the gaming, everything that you can do online that you cannot do in old media. This, I think, is a great story to kind of symbolize what I mean by reframing the medium. Back in the 20s, when radio first came about, there was a guy by the name of David Sarnoff who worked at RCA, which is the biggest radio manufacturer of its time. He was kind of a middle-level management guy. And the challenge was that no one was really buying radios. They were this big, ugly brown thing. They were expensive as hell. And all it did was broadcast news all day. And, they already were getting 3 newspapers a day. They were getting their news from that. So nobody really was buying this new great broadcast technology. Sarnoff had this amazing idea, because he was reframing again what the medium was. He thought it would be a good idea. The biggest event of its time was the heavyweight championship. It was kind of the Super Bowl of its day. He thought it'd be a great idea to broadcast the fight on the radio, because people couldn't get to the fight. It cost too much. It was only X amount of people, and everyone had to wait till the next day to read the paper to find out who won. So he has this idea, and management was like, nobody wants to listen to a fight on the radio. You got to see the blood and the guts and the tears. And he said, no, I think it'll be big. I mean, people have no other way of hearing it or seeing it live. And they're like, yeah, seeing it, but they don't want to hear it. So anyway, one of the great lessons was he persisted and pushed and pushed and pushed. And to innovate, I think you have to do that. And another great lesson is finally management said, fine, if you want to do that, go ahead and do it however you want to do it, but we're not funding it, which is another big issue that you face in corporate America and business every day, which is if somebody does kind of agree with your approach, they're not necessarily going to just throw a bunch of money at it because it either wasn't their idea or they're not sure because it's new. Anyway, he did it, hires one kind of guy, they go out, they broadcast the fight, and it becomes a huge event. People start going to people's houses and listening to the radio for parties and whatever, the few people that had radios, and it increased radio sales exponentially over the next few years, and it changed the face of broadcast radio, and it became the broadcast medium of its time until television 30 years later. And that happened because this guy, Sarnoff, kind of reframed and reimagined what was possible. And I think that's very much the situation we're in today in terms of digital. And we have been now for some time. I think we've all made great strides in what we're doing, but I think we have to kind of start rethinking and leveraging this medium for what it's really capable of. So I'll talk about some of the things that we've done regarding that, and certainly there's a long way to go. And by no means saying we're the experts in having done this, but I think that's the mindset I want all of us to kind of think about. So this is a great one we did last year, the Dove Social Ad Makeover. Basically, so the idea of Dove is only 4% of women think they're beautiful in the world, if you ask them. And they get a lot of negative stereotypes in advertising. Right? We get these messages with skinny waif models and, lose weight and all this stuff. So what we did was created this very unique kind of app, I guess, on Facebook that when you see an ad that is something that you wouldn't agree with as a female, as something that was like kind of a legitimate beauty ad or whatever, you had the option to override and supersede that ad with an ad of your choice through a portfolio of assets that we created. It basically takes advantage of sharing because then all your friends see it. It takes advantage of interactivity, consumer control, all that stuff. And it's something nobody had ever done and Facebook had never done, and we created it by having our partnership with Facebook. So let's, go back. Let's take a look at that video of the Dove ad makeover.
Dove's mission is to make every woman in the world feel beautiful. But a study revealed the shocking fact that only 4% of women describe themselves as beautiful.
I'm not satisfied with myself. I feel really self-conscious.
Right now I'm kind of out of shape.
I feel like maybe I'm not as beautiful as I could be.
The challenge? Find a way for Dove to help women feel better about themselves. We decided to confront a major barrier to feeling beautiful. Negative banner advertising that uses keywords to specifically target women's insecurities. We created the Ad Makeover, an integrated digital campaign that empowers women to displace the negative banners on Facebook with positive messages. First, we ignited a discussion about negative banners. Then we invited women to solve the problem with the Ad Makeover application. The user selects a positive message, then chooses a target audience based on keywords often used by advertisers who target women's insecurities. The app uses Facebook's ad auction API and bids double the suggested amount for those keywords, ensuring that a positive message is most likely to win. It uses an interface originally designed for marketers to let consumers control the advertising they see for the first time ever. Empowering women to displace 171 million banners in the first week. Over 50% of users who visited the app created a message. 82% of ads seen came from a friend, making the Ad Makeover a uniquely social movement. The campaign provoked a global debate that fundamentally challenged the way advertisers use online media, earning over 253 million media impressions in the first week. The Ad Makeover combined Dove's social fanbase, paid online media, keyword targeting, and a community application to further Dove's mission to help every woman feel more beautiful.
So that really reframes what social media is, as far as I'm concerned. Tons of scale, great leveraging of all the different aspects of social, and really fit perfectly with the message. So here's a totally different take. So Axe is also one of our brands, and this is mobile. So again, everything kind of runs through this base of a really great insight. So one of the great insights in Japan and India, and actually probably all over the world, as we're gonna expand this to other markets now, realizing that, is that most guys, the target audience is like 17 to 23 years old, and that target audience uses their mobile phone as their alarm clock 80% of the time. And now it seems like we all do, but at the time we ran this, basically their phone is their alarm clock. So trying to consider what's the best way to reach these guys. So we created an app that was customized by country that basically woke them up every day by a hot woman of their choice that they pick either online or through the phone. So it's different. Like in India, it was because broadband internet isn't as strong. It was more of a calling service. In Japan, it's very much an app, and it's automated and has different voices each time. So it's very sexy. Right before timing-wise, right before they get in the shower, guys love it. Perfect insight, and totally reframes what mobile is, because we heard yesterday mobile advertising is difficult to understand. Like, it's a small thing, consumers don't like it the way it is today. This is a way to do it, so we're provide some utility and entertainment for consumers. So at Unilever, we have what's sometimes referred to as kind of a double bottom line goal. We want to double our business by 2020, but also have a goal of having the environmental footprint and driving social good. And that's Paul, our CEO, and he very much drives this hard across the organization. The sustainability piece is just as important as the business piece. And so the next several I'll talk about is how we reframe some campaigns specifically around the double bottom line goals that I just talked about. So we have a brand that a lot of you probably haven't heard of called Purit, which is one of the most innovative brands in the world. It's a water purifying system. It's very easy to use and fairly cost effective to be used in developing markets, and you can clean like the dirtiest water. In fact, Keith, who you saw earlier on the video, our CMO, did a presentation in front of investment relations where he drank water out of the Thames River. They brought it in, and part of the presentation, he drank it right in front of him through the Purit filter. So anyway, it's an incredibly innovative product. And we wanted to make sure and look for different ways to get it in the hands of schools and kids and whatever in India. And so again, what we did with Facebook is there's three huge trends going on that we wanted to, three huge global trends that we wanted to bring together here. It's the development of the D&E markets, developing and emerging markets. It's living sustainably, and it's the power of digital. So this campaign, Waterworks, what it does is allows people in the West who use Facebook to donate money to people in India, or as we do in multiple markets in the East, to help these water workers provide clean drinking water to millions and millions of people in the developing world. We donate all the filters. They donate the money to help the people actually go in and train people who live in villages and let them know that by drinking clean water, it'll prevent diarrhea and all these different diseases that will significantly elongate their lives and make them feel better and healthier and so forth. So this was a fantastic campaign, again done totally reframing what Facebook's about, reframing how we can connect people from the East and the West, and doing it in scale and so forth. And the next one I want to show you is this year. Actually, you've probably seen this, I would hope, because hundreds of millions of people have seen it. It's Dove Real Beauty Sketches. So again, I talked about what the Dove mission is before. Basically, what this is we hired an artist, a forensic artist actually, to draw women based on what they said about themselves and how they described themselves versus what their friends did, and showed really the difference. So how many people have seen this video, Dove Sketches? Okay, so I don't even know if I need to show it. It sounds like everyone's seen it, but I'll show it anyway because it always gets a good cry. So why don't we show the next video.
I'm a forensic artist. Worked for the San Jose Police Department from 1995 to 2011.
I showed up to a place I'd never been, and there was a guy with a drafting board.
We couldn't see them, they couldn't see us.
Tell me about your hair.
I didn't know what he was doing, but then I could tell after several questions that he was drawing me.
Tell me about your chin.
It kind of protrudes a little bit, especially when I smile.
Your jaw.
My mom told me I had a big jaw.
What would be your most prominent feature?
I kind of have a fat, rounder face.
The older I've gotten, the more freckles I've gotten.
I would say I have a pretty big forehead.
Once I get a sketch, I say thank you very much, and then they leave. I don't see them.
All I had been told before the sketch was to get friendly with this other woman, Chloe.
Today I'm going to ask you some questions about a person you met earlier, and I'm going to ask you some general questions about their face.
She was thin, so you could see her cheekbones. And her chin, it was a nice, thin chin.
She had nice eyes. They lit up when she spoke.
Cute nose.
She had blue eyes, very nice blue eyes.
So here we are. This is the sketch that you helped me create, and that's a sketch that somebody described of you.
So yeah, that's...
She looks closed off and fatter, sadder too. The second one looks more open, friendly, and happy.
I should be more grateful of my natural beauty. It impacts the choices and the friends that we make, the jobs we apply for, how we treat our children. It impacts everything. It couldn't be more critical to your happiness.
Do you think you're more beautiful than you say?
Yeah. Yeah.
We spend a lot of time as women analyzing and trying to fix the things that aren't quite right. And we should spend more time appreciating the things that we do like.
All right. See, I'm glad I showed it. Okay, I thought the next video is fantastic. It just shows, given that this is a media conference and digital, I wanted to show not just the video, but how it took off and where it took off, and the fact that in today's world, you create great content, and that's great content, ties into the insights, but there's an enormous amount of amplification that we do to get a video to go from even 20, 30 million views to 200 or 250 million views. A lot of that is buying ads, a lot, and then a lot of it is using distribution systems on video. A lot of it is PR, so it's a great integrated effort. But I don't, people always like, oh wow, that thing is unbelievable. It's got 200 million views. There's a lot of work and a lot of money that goes into amplifying it. But you still need base grade content to even be able to do that, and that's what this is. So let's show the next video. So as you can see, there was a ton of work that went into escalating that throughout multiple markets. So what happened on the slides? Oh, they're up there? Okay. Okay, I can't see it here. All right, so And then the one very recent one that I wanted to talk about was this one, which is, as I said, we have a double bottom line goal. One of the things that we really wanted to do was launch a Unilever brand. We operate very much Dove, Axe, Ben & Jerry's, and so forth. We launched the Unilever brand a few weeks ago with the idea of kind of bringing all our sustainability initiatives together under that umbrella. And we launched it, we're trying to what's the common theme? A lot of people don't even understand living sustainably or aren't that driven to live sustainably, but they are when you talk about your kids, their kids, their kids' kids, and the future. So what we did was created kind of this manifesto film around the idea of creating a brighter future. So if you're not going to live a certain way, believe me, you're going to want to for the future and your children and so forth. So I would only ask you to do two things if you could after this. ProjectSunlight.com, just go there and just click I'm in, which just means you're a supporter of the life, and then use the hashtag Bright Future. You could actually, if you just go to my Twitter feed, Babs26, and look at one of my past posts a few posts ago, you'll see it, and you can just pass that along or whatever. It gives the details further than what you might want to write. But this is a video we just launched a few weeks ago, so can we run that?
Okay, so clear the background. If you would like to take the seat here.
Come in, Mark.
The joy of having a new child, and on the other side, all the worries and the fears.
You realize that you're someone else's protector.
We are scared. We are scared seeing the present. We are scared for the future.
I do worry for the baby now, as the future, what's going to hold for them.
Maybe there's something you should know about the world in which your child will live. Something real. Something that's already happening. Every day, more and more food is being grown with a revolutionary method. Care. And new technologies will make clean drinking water available to hundreds of millions. So this will probably be the famous water war they speak so much about. And illnesses that today affect millions of children a year will be prevented by simple, everyday products. Your child could have more possibilities of having a healthier heart than any living person today. And the same chance of a broken heart. No one can escape that. But we have no doubt about one thing. They'll always have a tree in which to hide and cry. And by the time they find the right person, our children will have better chances of meeting their great-grandchildren than we ever did. Breathe calmly. Bring your child into this world. There has never been a better time to create a brighter future for everyone on the planet. For those yet to come.
Sometimes people use the environment and the world as an excuse for them to say, okay, yeah, it's no good place to bring up a child.
Where I come from, you don't get to see clean water like that.
The world needs more
good guys, and I like to think our baby will be one of the good guys.
But we have to change for them first.
We might not see it,
We
but
won't
maybe
see it,
our
but
great-grandchildren
great-grandchildren will see it.
Great-great-grandchildren.
We're the characters in this story. How the story pans out is based on how we behave in this story. So, yeah, it's up to us to make a change, absolutely.
Okay. I think I'm running low on time, so I'm going to go through the last few fairly quick. So one of the things you have to do is to make sure you're keeping score, because you won't push yourself to succeed in each element of every part of a strategy unless you're keeping very good score of everything that you're doing. So there it is from 2008 to 2013, a ton of big numbers going from, in some cases, 0 to 100. As you can see, the marketing trainers thing that I said, over 4,000 people have been trained. It's funny, a lot of people ask me the question, what's the ROI on that Dove video? And it's just the wrong kind of question. First of all, it's not designed to drive short-term sales, and we do plenty of things on a day-to-day basis to in-store, to local market advertising, so forth, to drive sales. The idea here is we have to build brand love as well, and I think anybody that has any questions about the fact that you have 5 billion impressions on a video like that and what it does for your brand, that's just not the right question. That said, we do a ton of marketing mix modeling and obviously look very closely at all that, but I just don't think that's the question that you should be asking when you have that kind of impact. And we've been awarded. We were ranked the digital marketer of the year by Ad Age in 2012. We got the mobile marketer of the year in Asia this year, and that Dove video won the Grand Prix at Cannes for the top film, including all TV ads as well. But that's so what I would close with is that's all about kind of what we've already done. But what we're really interested in today is not so much our history, but rather to talk about our destiny. And our destiny is really tied into what are the trends, what are the startups, what's next, where's it all going? And one of the things that we're doing right now as kind of what's next is we're creating this program with startups called Go Global, where we're connecting 7 startups with 7 of our brands and helping take them globally. It's, again, on my Twitter feed. I tweeted it out, and we're looking for anybody who's in the startup business who would like to partner with us. We can offer a ton of things, from legal help to office space in other countries to, a ton of things that, and I'm not talking about like garage type startups. We're not talking small ball here. We're talking about like companies that have already started to, have some success and some scale and so forth, whether it's a Flipboard or that kind of company. So I would close with a couple of points, which is that just like it's a great time to bring a kid into the world, I think this is the best time to be in advertising, marketing, whatever you want to call it, and at least the best time in several years, since maybe the time when television first launched. There's incredible innovation going on. So I see it as you'll hear a lot of negativity towards like the world and what's going on now, but again, I see it as an amazing time, especially for people like all of us who are kind of locked into the space. And I consider it a great privilege, but not just our great privilege, but our burden to be the group that really kind of shifts and reframes what media and marketing is. One of us needs to be the David Sarnoff of this time. So I close with one line, which I tell everyone on my team at all times in terms of what we're doing. This is our time, but only if we make it so. Thank you.